Hello, everybody. It's a different type of episode from LTB. Instead of Let's Talk Broncos, Let's Talk Buffs. I got Carter Dillon to the right of me. Man, I'm excited for this episode. This is the first episode of Let's Talk Buffs. And man, I love college football, Carter. Seriously, like college football is my thing. The draft is my thing. I love the draft. I love studying the film for the draft. I'm super excited to just dive into college football. I'm excited to have you as my partner here, Carter. But how are you doing, man?
Likewise, dude. I'm super pumped to be able to talk CU. I mean, I spent a ton of time playing NCAA, a ton of time keeping up with CU. So I'm so excited to get ready for this season. We should be good this year, so that's exciting. Not another 4-8 season, but it's definitely exciting.
It is definitely exciting. Just so we're gonna go the episode today. It's just gonna be a little about the entire offseason for the Buffs. The entire offseason, we missed so much, and I think it'd be cool for fans to come in and see us recapping the offseason from a different perspective, right? Because it's not like we're head in deep on all the narratives about CU, because that is a thing. I know anybody that's watching this right now is noticing like, yo, these people hate the Buffs. It's hard for them to even have an objective opinion on the Buffs. And I hope Carter and I can kind of be that for you guys. Like, I want to be the objective opinion here. I haven't been fully in the narrative. Carter hasn't been fully in the narrative. We've just been watching the moves, and I want to be that type of guy to relate that to you. So we're going to go over who transferred in this offseason and how we think that's going to affect the Buffs. We're going to talk a little about the recruiting guys that still haven't committed, Juju Lewis being one of them. It just everything offseason Buffs. What has happened this year? Just kind of a recap. And let's get straight into it, Carter. I kind of want to talk about the offensive line and how they are just so drastically different for the Buffs this year. It's damn near in a completely different group. For everything the Buffs were terrible at last year, I think they brought in some competent players. I don't know if it's going to be the best offensive line in college football this year. I don't think that, but it's going to be pretty competent. Is there anybody that stands out to you that the Buffs brought in and you're just kind of excited to see?
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. It's going to be completely different. You're going to have 5 new players in there. But you can't talk about this offensive line without talking about Jordan Seaton, the true freshman. He's going to be your starting left tackle. But for transfers wise, Justin Mayers from UTEP and Tyler Johnson from Houston are probably going to be starting guards for you this season. I think both of them were 3 or 4-star transfers. So those guys are probably going to be your starting guards because Tyler Brown was in line to start at guard, but he's recently kicked out to right tackle. And you can't really – and Tyler Brown, who didn't get to play last season, he was on the Buffs team but didn't get to play last season. He should be your starting right tackle. And then your center is going to be Hank Zelinskis, who was a 2023 true freshman.
That's the starting center this year?
That should be the starting center this year. Okay. He's been getting a lot of the reps, but they did bring in that UConn center, Yakiri Walker. A lot of people thought he was going to start, but it's looking like Hank Zelinskis.
Okay. I mean, I like the guards they brought in. I watched the kid from Houston when he was brought in. I also watched the other kid a little bit. I'm more impressed just from their college film, and I know the spring game didn't do him very well from what I hear. But the Houston kid looked like almost like, okay, this guy can be a pro. I thought at the time watching his film from last year. He does look like kind of the real deal as far as a college guard goes. He has the size, the build. I think he's plenty athletic, and I thought he was good. I heard a lot of it is kind of hampered by injury. Carter, is that true?
So it was kind of weird. I mean, you don't really know, but there was a lot of camp that went by where Tyler Brown was playing left guard and Mayers was playing right guard, and you would see Tyler Johnson rotate in a little bit every once in a while.
Interesting. Do you think it had anything to do with injury, or do you think it's Or do you think it's just a skill level thing?
I don't know. It might have been a skill level thing. Phil Lodeholt, the O-line coach, has really talked about putting together the perfect five, not necessarily the best five, but the perfect five that work together. And so I think that might have been a case of that. Could be also injuries, but he's in line to start now, as far as my understanding. But yeah,
That's interesting because when I watched Tyler Johnson, I did think he was like I thought he was a draftable player. And again, I'm kind of just like the draft guy. That's what I like doing. With it. He looked like it to me. I didn't ever think he was like a top 100 pick or something like that. But he looked like a guy that could be drafted to a team, maybe in the like maybe later in the draft. But that is more than serviceable as a college guard.
I think he was a 4-star transfer out of all the O linemen. I think he was the only 4-star transfer. I'm trying to find him here.
Yeah.
Justin Mayer. Oh, okay. Justin Mayers was a 4-star as well, so I was wrong. So it was those two. But Cleo Benson was a 3-star. But Tyler Johnson was 1 point off of a 4-star in On3's industry rankings. But very close. I mean, they're ranked one point apart in the industry ranking. But yeah, I was a little shocking to not see him like have that job locked up.
Yes. That is interesting. Justin Mayers also is good. I think he's going to be solid. The reason why I thought Tyler Johnson was better than Justin Mayers, and I mean, I think some of the audience is going to be more informed than I do on just like the offseason move. I'm just going to go off of how their film was last year. Justin Mayers, I was just a little bit like, okay, his competition last year was a little lower than Tyler Johnson's. I thought Justin Mayers was a really good guard at his level, but I just thought that Tyler Johnson's, you saw better competition week to week, and he still performed pretty much just as well. But if Justin Mayers is pulling away with it, that's a good sign. I'm not mad at that at all. And then Tyler Brown, obviously he was a Jackson State transfer, right? Not this offseason, but the offseason before at the other guard. People were really disappointed about him not being able to play last year. That sucked. But Jordan Seaton, you mentioned it earlier in the show. I want your opinion on this. Is there a world where you bench a Jordan Seaton if he's underperforming? Because I want to set the stage here. When you have a true freshman tackle out there, they're probably going to struggle early. They probably are. That's just something that is going to happen. You saw it from the kid from Alabama last year, from Iowa. Do you remember his name? I don't remember.
Oh, God, I can picture him.
Proctor or something.
Yes, Caden Proctor.
Caden Proctor. You saw it from Caden Proctor. He struggled early. He kind of picked it up later. These offensive linemen don't really get reps in practice. It's just not very physical in practice anymore. And if you're playing offensive lineman, you got to be able to play physical. The only reps they really get is in game, if I'm being honest with you. So I'm curious if he's struggling early, let's say, do you think there's a world where you bench him?
See, there's a world where you bench a freshman starting left tackle, but I don't think there's a world where you bench Jordan Seaton, because I don't think there's going to be a reality where he struggles. I mean, I think he's looked like one of their best O-linemen, to be honest with you. I mean, and they've been pretty physical, honestly. Surprising. The videos I've watched from Well Off and Reach People, they've been pretty physical. Like, and I'm seeing him have amazing reps for guys like Deion Hayes. And I saw BJ Green get the better of him, I think a day or two ago. But like, he's not an outcast. Like, he looks like he fits in. He's built like he fits in. I think he's gonna be your starting left tackle all year.
I love it. I love hearing that. That was one of the biggest signings. I think all CU fans, everyone listening right now, can confidently say this. When we saw Jordan Seaton commit to CU after taking us out of his little recruiting race right there, that was a beautiful day. That was a ridiculous day for Colorado fans. It's exactly what we needed, and it's exactly what people said Deion couldn't recruit at the time. They said that there's no way he can recruit offensive linemen. How are you going to get those type of guys? And he got the best in the nation that year. So like, it was just a beautiful thing. I can't wait to see Jordan Seaton here. But Carter, where do you think? Do you think this, at the end of the day, that starting group you mentioned, you got Khalil Benson from Indiana. I watched a little of him too, physical football player. Justin Mayers at right guard. You got Hank Zelinskis at center, Tyler Brown and Jordan Seaton at left tackle. Do you think that group, the projected starting offensive line, is serviceable?
I think it's going to be the guys they have in is going to be enough for Shador. Like you said earlier, it's not going to be the best offensive line in college football. That's a reality. You got 3 transfers in there and a guy who started his career at Jackson State. I mean, you do have the 5-star, but like those 4, those aren't like, I mean, you're not going to have the best O-line in the country, but it's going to be enough for Shador. And so I think that's probably your starting O-line all year, barring injuries. And I think it will be enough for them to have a successful season.
I agree. I think it's going to be fine. And the reason I think it's going to end up being fine is because you're so strong in other areas. When you look at wide receiver, when you talk about Will Shepherd from Vanderbilt,
that is a dog.
He's a dog. When you're talking about a true X wide receiver, that is Will Shepherd. Physical, 50-50 balls. He's coming down with it.
And that's what they lacked last year.
You're right. You're totally right. It is exactly what they lacked last year. They didn't have an X. You're going to see Zay Weaver in the league for the Cardinals this year. He's going to be playing the Z.
Oh, he's making that roster. He's making that roster 100%.
I love hearing that too. I love hearing that. I love seeing his tweets too, because I went to his Twitter the other day. All of his prior tweets. I don't see a single Arizona Cardinals tweet on there. It's all CU.
Yeah.
He's a beautiful thing.
He was talking about, now that I'm on the outside looking in, everybody hates the Buffs.
I love that. But yeah, I mean, when you bring in a Will Shepherd as your ex, honest to God too, man, I do think Will Shepherd is at the minimum as good as Zay was last year. I do think that. Right? Yeah. I think he's at the minimum as good as Zay was last year for the Buffs this year. Travis Hunter is coming back. I don't even think we really even have to talk about him. Everyone knows how good Travis Hunter is. And then you got LeJontay Wester. That is your starting 3 is ridiculous. LeJontay Wester is legitimately a pro as well. And I think he is better than Zay was last year. I think LeJontay Wester might be a top 100 pick at the end of the day. It is a possibility. If he has a really good season, I do think that. He's a top 3 round pick all day. Fast, finds space really, really well, secure hands. When I was watching their film, man, so much of their offense rotates around LeJontay Wester. Is, okay, I'm putting him in the backfield now. He's playing my slot now. It's a screen to LeJontay Wester. It was get LeJontay Wester the ball. So much of it.
Debo.
The quarterback sucked. He really wasn't good down there. And LeJontay Wester, it was, we're going to find a way to get you touches. You're getting at least 10 touches this game, and that's going to be for every game this year. You're winning this football games. And now he gets to play with Shador, Will Shepherd, Travis Hunter, and we haven't even got into the more depth-type pieces there. So I think that ultimately helps your offensive line massively. You have a first-round quarterback and all these other wide receivers. Yeah, so give me your take on the wide receiver room a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, back to Will Shepherd. Like, if this guy has what we expect from him this year, or even better, I mean, I think we're talking about a first-round wide receiver, second-round wide receiver. He's gonna be a top pick in this draft if he has a good year. And there's a world where CU puts out 4 draftable wide receivers this year. I genuinely think that Jimmy, LeJontay, Will Shep, and Travis could all be drafted this year, because Jimmy, like, he's kind of been pushed to the back with all these new guys coming in, and like then he showed up to camp and he's just balling, like one of Shador's favorite targets still. And it's gonna be like the group last year we thought was good, and this group is gonna be far better. And then you get into guys like you said with the depth, like Cordell Russell, and then 2 4-star wide receivers coming in with Cam Michael and Draylon Miller. Draylon might play. Like, he's had a great camp. So, I mean, I think it's the best wide receiver room in the country.
It could be. I mean, you gotta keep in mind the schools like Ohio State, some of these other schools, and I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know the depth of every single college school in the country. But when I'm looking at this school on paper, Colorado, that's the school I study. This one looks crazy. It looks wild. I mean, we didn't even mention Omarion Miller.
Right?
Yeah,
He
like
had an unbelievable breakout last year, and he's like your wide receiver 5.
right. Omarion is a player. He's a really good player. I remember after that USC game last year, Carter, Prime even mentioned, he's like, yeah, I didn't think he was going to do that either. He doesn't look like that in practice. You know what I mean? There are players like that are just gamers who come into the season and they're better in the game than they are in practice. Omarion could be one of those. Like, although we haven't heard, it hasn't been like an explosive Omarion Miller offseason. This dude could be a crazy player in season. And we saw it against USC. He looked ridiculous that game. I don't think that was just a fluke. He looked like he had skill in that game. So, yeah, this wide receiver room is crazy. I want to move on to the running back room. Give me your input there, Carter. I feel like you know more about this room than I do.
So the running back room, I mean, we're talking about a complete shakeup. Like guys going out, guys coming in. You had was Dylan Edwards, surprise transfer. He went to Kansas State. Alton McCaskill, who's like, all right, he's your next guy up. Arizona State, transfers to Arizona State. And you're like, all right, we got Charlie Offerdahl, who was a walk-on last year. He earned his scholarship. But then you start getting the transfers in. So you get Ohio State running back Dallin Hayden, who's a redshirt sophomore. He didn't really play much at Ohio State, but he's a good player. And then you had Isaiah Augustave transfer from Arkansas, who's a bigger back, probably your power back. And then true freshman Michael Welch has been making some noise. Like he might get some reps this year. But honestly, this might be a better running back room overall this year than last year. But I don't think they have a definite starter picked out yet. Just a group of guys that are all solid.
Okay. I think that's interesting. I mean, Dallin Hayden did as a true freshman. He had like 500 yards rushing, which is impressive. Just this last year, he didn't get many touches.
Yeah.
For whatever rhyme or reason, right? That could be for multiple reasons. Ohio State is loaded with talent. It's very possible that they have a better running back than Dallin Hayden. I don't think Dallin Hayden should really take offense to it. I'll be honest with you. That's Ohio State. It's a little different, right? So what do you think of this Offerdahl guy, Charlie, who's obviously a Colorado born and raised kid? Do you think like – all right, so I'm on the website right now, Our Lads, and they have him as their starting running back right now. Do you think that this kid is actually good? Do you think he's actually going to be productive, or you just think this is a good story?
Nah, I like the kid, honestly. He runs hard. He's hungry. Like, I think he's one of like the first dudes in, last dudes out guys. And he kind of had to be as a walk-on, but like he's earned this. He hasn't fallen into it. I think he's really earned it. And I mean, he earned his scholarship. I mean, I would not be upset if he takes the first carry this year at all.
That's fun, man. I mean, as a Colorado person, I just like Colorado sports. I love Colorado sports. I love it to my core. I want to see that happen. I'd be lying if I said I didn't, man. I didn't. That's pretty much the entire offense. We didn't talk much about Shedeur. I think he's an easy first-round quarterback. I think that it's him or Carson Beck is the number one quarterback in the country, and I think a lot of people discount Carson Beck. I don't think that's any offense to Shedeur at all. I think both these guys are really good, if I'm being honest with you. Both those quarterbacks are solid quarterbacks going into the draft this next year. This group should put up points, especially with Shedeur talking about how much Pat Shurmur is a good fit with him. You heard him talk about, hey man, I don't really like all these option routes and stuff like that Kelly's running. Like that's not my game. I need to see throw. And that's now gone. Pat Shurmur, it sounds like, is adjusting to him. This offense should be able to score a ton this next year. That's just something that should be able to happen. I don't think the Buffs should lose once this year because their offense didn't do enough. If I'm being honest with you, that if the Buffs lose, I don't want it to be because of offense. I think they have enough talent throughout the entire depth chart right there where they should be able to put points against any team in the country.
Yeah, you're totally right. I mean, they are explosive. They got speed everywhere. They got size everywhere. I mean, they like you said, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. So I think they're gonna be one of the best offenses in the country. But I'm so high on this team this year. Like I don't have any limits on this team. So I might be a little biased, but
a little bit. Who cares though? We're here. And then with it comes a good offense, Carter. You need a good pass rush, right? And it feels like the Buffs have completely transformed that room. Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, you got BJ Green, you got Samuel. How you say his last name?
Okunlola.
I watched him. He was actually very impressive, and he's young, which makes him even a better transfer. And you got Deion Hayes, also from Pitt. I loved Coach Prime's little press conference where he thanked Pitt's head coach for for developing these guys, man. That's like stealing somebody's watch and saying thanks for buying it, bro. It's a beautiful thing.
He took them both.
I love it. I love it. But then I was telling Carter before the show, I have never seen a good CU pass rush, even when they were really good. I'm not going to sit there and pretend like I saw Big Al in the 1990s. It says it wasn't me. I wasn't there for that team. I'm talking about Kello Witherspoon, LaVisca Chenault, Cheeto, Awuzie, Steven Montez days. They didn't have a good pass rush at all then. No, they did not. Like, this might be the first good CU pass rush I've seen, and it's going to bode well with them scoring a lot of points. Carter, how much of an upgrade is this from last year?
I mean, unbelievable upgrade. Like, not one guy that was rushing the passer last year is going to play this year, I think. I mean, BJ Green is a dog, and so is Deion Hayes from Arizona State. BJ Green, Deion Hayes from Pitt. Like, those guys are your starting edges. They're going to put up big sack numbers, in my opinion. But it's just like Prime just overhauls so many different rooms just like that. It feels like, yeah, this is going to be one of the best two edges like in the Big 12, I think.
Do you really?
They're going to be good. And they have the interior where the interior is not going to like set them back.
Yeah. Tell me a little about the interior there. I know Jane Cooks catches a ton of shit in Buffs Nation here. What do you tell me about a little about their interior there?
So some of the transfers: Anquin Barnes, Chidozie Nwankwo, Torian Carter, Rayon Buell from Ohio, just like guys that are kind of under the radar. They also got Quincy Wiggins, who's a younger guy from LSU. I don't know how much he's going to factor in, but they got guys that are just different. Like Chidozie is the block bully. I mean, I like guys that have nicknames like that. Like we were talking about on the O-line, Flapjack, like guys that got nicknames for just being dogs. Like they're not flashy, but they're going to get the job done. Like they're just dogs. And that's what you want in that room. I forget what Prime said the other day. He's like, when I'm looking for my D lineman, I'm looking for single mamas. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. Like that's how he described his D line recruiting. And I think that's exactly what he's got dogs in there.
He does have dogs in there. I love the kid, the block bully. I do think he's good. Man, I was talking to some CU fans, and they were so worried about his height and stuff like that. Let me explain something to you guys. Because I played a little offensive line. The one thing I hated going up against the most, especially on the interior, are those dudes that are low to the ground and big and explosive. Those were the worst guys to play because when you're talking about bigger offensive linemen, I mean, most of these guys are going to be 6'3", 6'4", you're playing against. You've heard this. If you've played football, you've heard it. lowest man wins every single time. Lowest man wins. And when you get one of these 300-pounders that's also 5'11", getting under your chest plate and stuff like that and just driving you back, it's irritating as hell. I'm not going to say it's always the best, but during those circumstances, man, there's not much you can do. I can't get lower than you. You just have natural leverage on me. There's no way I can win this. There's no way. And that's how he wins. He also has a really cool drop knee technique. So when you're getting doubled, and this is like pretty experienced stuff. You see guys in the pros do this stuff where when you're getting doubled and you're getting overpowered a little bit, or you don't think you can withhold the double, I'm dropping the one knee. And then the moment the one guy sheds, I'm back up and I'm blocking and I'm shedding you immediately. He's really good at that too. I think that he is a run. He breaks down the run of the other offense really well. That's his thing. I don't think he's ever going to be interior defensive lineman that's going to get you 6 sacks in the season. I don't think that's his game. But that's not why you got him. You got him to stop the run. The Buffs sucked at stopping the run last year, and this guy helps them do that. So I think this is a good addition for the Buffs. I think immediately he comes in, he's your starting defensive tackle, and he's a major upgrade on what they had last year.
Yeah, totally. And like you're talking about that drop knee technique, that was a huge thing with Byron Murphy. Coming out of the draft this year, like stuff like that. I mean, you don't need to be flashy to be a good D lineman. You just need to be a dog, and that's exactly what he is.
Right. What is your take on Shane Cox? I'm interested in it because I know he gets a ton of hate.
Yeah, he does get a ton of hate, and I'm not a big Shane Cox hater. His thing coming into the offseason was he wanted to slide more outside and be less of a defensive lineman, but he's not an edge. So I don't know where he fits in, but he's working. Like I see Sapp working with him. He wants to be good. He wants to factor in, but I don't see him really factoring in this year.
Okay, interesting enough. I mean, hey, everything's an upgrade on what they had last year as far as their interior defensive line goes, and I'm just happy with that. Inside linebacker, you got Levante Bentley, Trevor Woods, who is a move on from safety. You saw that last year a little bit. You got Johnny Chaney Jr., you got Jalen Wester, who's LeJohntay Wester's brother, and you got Nikai Hill Green. Do you think Trevor Woods and Levante Bentley get the majority of snaps there?
Yeah, I do think that's what's going to happen. And then I think you'll see Jalen Wester and Nikai Hill Green kind of rotate in a little bit, and maybe some Jeremiah Brown. But I don't really I mean, I'm not a huge middle linebacker studier, but I think Bentley and Woods have the starting jobs locked up. Rightfully so.
Have you heard anything about the Keaton Wade kid while I'm on this? I watched him at Kentucky a little bit, and he seemed to me like they listed him as an edge.
Yeah.
I didn't really think he was an edge. He was kind of an off-ball type dude who they rushed a lot is what it kind of was like. Does he have a role on this defense? His skill set seems very, very specific.
Yeah, I haven't seen much from him, but I mean, maybe they figure out a way to unlock his skill set and use him on certain downs and distances and stuff like that. But I haven't really seen him do much besides showing up to meetings and just being at practice.
Okay.
But I think he's definitely. I don't think he's worked in with the ones once under what I've seen.
Interesting. That's interesting because he played a little bit for Kentucky. Like it wasn't like he was just sitting on the pine. He played.
Yeah,
he did play.
I don't know. He hasn't done much at camp. I haven't seen much from him at camp, but who knows?
It's fair enough. I don't think he's like a BJ Green where it's stick your hand in the ground and you're pass rushing every down, and that's kind of what his role was. He's kind of a hybrid between an edge and a inside linebacker. He's a hybrid type player.
Yeah.
And I think it takes a specific type of defense to utilize him. At corner, though, you got DJ McKinney. Preston Hodge is a beast from Liberty. Travis Hunter, man, it's crazy saying his name twice still. Right. Colton Hood, who's been awesome, apparently.
Yes, he's been breaking out this camp.
So do you think he is a starter?
Colton Hood?
Yeah.
No, I think your 3 starters are locked up. And I don't really know how they're going to do this because Preston Hodge was like kind of a nickel guy. So what I would
He
predict
was
them
a
to do,
nickel guy, yeah.
what he was, right? But then he's played a lot of outside in camp. So what I think they're going to do is I think they're going to kind of have a 3-man rotation. And I think Travis is just going to like shadow their best receiver. And then I think they're going to have Hodge work in and out and then McKinney just be the opposite boundary. But I don't know for sure. That's just my take, what I could see them doing. But yeah, it's kind of a weird group, but a very talented group. And then Colton Hood, redshirt freshman. I mean, he's been making plays all camp long.
What do you think about Stoutmeyer? This is a returning player that played last year. Is he just now out of it because of the players that they've added in?
I don't want to say he's out of it because he's been making some plays, but he's got a little ways to go. He might get some safety time too. I'm pretty sure he was gonna get some safety reps. I don't know exactly how far that went, but he might get some safety time too.
Interesting. It is interesting. Oh wait, what? And then Cameron Salmon Craig.
Yeah, Cam Summer
Wasn't
Craig.
he more of a nickel last year, or am I tripping?
He didn't play much last year. Was the thing.
Oh,
He played. It was the Nebraska game. He got that interception, and then he didn't play much at the start of the year. I'm sorry, didn't play much at the start of the year at TC at all, and then got that interception from Nebraska. Kind of broke out, but I'm pretty sure he might have slid it down to the nickel a little bit. But he's going to be a starting safety this year.
okay.
With
And
Shiloh.
obviously Shiloh. There's not much to say about Shiloh. I think Shiloh's just starting safety. He's a hard hitter. He's going to come down. He plays tough. He adds a physical dimension to this team. I think he also – I don't know where he gets drafted. I don't know.
He's old. He's an older prospect. But, I mean –
yeah. But he's a guy that's going to end up on a training camp, definitely.
Oh, definitely. 100%. He's going to be – I mean, if he breaks out, he's going to break out. Like, he's going to get in trouble at camp for hitting guys hard, but he's definitely going to get camping, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And let's move on from the roster. I hope you guys appreciated our roster little breakdown there. Carter and I are going to get a lot more into this as we continue going. I'm going to start studying these players. I know Carter is too more. We're just kind of going off of what we've studied so far with these guys, and we'll get more into it. Like the same stuff that we had to say about LeJohntay Wester and some of these guys we definitely know. We'll have takes on some of the guys we don't really know. And let's move into some of the recruiting stuff. Juju Lewis, he's literally playing what would be for you guys, I think it would be yesterday. For us, it's tonight. He's playing. Do you think he's a buff? It's between Indiana, it's between Colorado, it's between USC. He's verbally committed to USC. He's been verbally committed to USC, but it really feels like he's keeping his options going. He's going on trips. He's doing the whole situation. So, do you think there's even a shot he's a buff, Carter?
I do. I mean, it's such a weird recruiting process. Like you see guys like they'll go on a visit to a school, like quarterback specifically, and then they'll just boom, they'll commit the next day. They'll have a graphic made and boom. And this guy has like really stretched it out a long time. I mean, he's still committed, but he's really not committed to USC. I mean, he is expected to make an announcement by the start of his season, and it's the start of his season. So I don't know. Like, is he going to drag this thing out all the way to signing day? I still think the Buffs are in it. I don't know how real that Indiana stuff is. I know he's got some ties to one of the coaches and the coaching staff, and then obviously USC. But it's tough saying. I got faith. I feel good about him being a Buff. It would be an unbelievable commitment if he is Boulder bound.
Here's my thing, Carter. There is the player out there that would accept an Indiana over USC. There is. What I will tell you is 95% of the time that is not true. That's not happening. Like, I'm just playing the odds game here, right? And I don't think that's happening. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say I don't think he's going to Indiana. I'm sorry. I don't care what connection it is. I don't care if his dad's the head coach. I don't think it's happening. I really don't. It's rare to see that situation. It feels a little Jordan Seaton to Maryland type vibe to me.
I think his big thing is he just wants to play right away, and I think that's kind of why Indiana's in the mix.
Yeah, all right, that makes sense. Like,
But I like you said, I don't know that they're in the mix, to be honest. This guy's so hard to judge, honestly.
Yeah, he's not giving us any insight whatsoever. Now, what I do have insight on is that Deion always has like a joker up his sleeve. Like that's something that has happened every single year of college football. And this year that would be Juju. That's what I can say. That this year it would be Juju. And I think it might be even more crazy than Seton. Let's say that happens, just because who you're taking him from.
Yes.
If Juju comes to CU over USC,
I know
it's crazy. I think every quarterback in the entire country wants to go play for Lincoln Riley. He has all the experience. He puts pros in the league yearly. That's what he does. So it would be super impressive. But I do think it's between those two schools. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I mean, I'll never forget seeing that visit schedule, Julian Lewis pop up, and you're like, the Buffs? The Buffs are getting a visit from Julian Lewis, 5-star quarterback. Okay. And then it just kept progressing. And then CU gets his final visit of his official visit schedule over summer. And it's like, all right, this is real. He's posting pictures with Shador, talking about Shador's song. And it's like, I mean, it seems like he wants to be a Buff. I really hope he's a Buff. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to pry a quarterback away from USC. And if Prime does it, it'll be an unbelievable accomplishment.
It'll be huge. I think it'll set college football on fire. I really do. I think it'll. Yeah, go ahead.
I had one more thing on the USC thing. They have kind of shifted to this other quarterback that's currently committed to Texas A&M, like Husan Longstreet. I think he's a 4-star, but it's like, okay, do they know something? You know, it's who knows.
Yeah, or they're just getting tired of him. Yeah. Not really going all the way in.
Yeah.
It's one of those two situations there. I would be shocked if they were going after another really big name recruit after getting their 5-star guy. That would kind of shock me.
Mm-hmm.
I do think this would just set college football on fire. I really do. I think a lot of people, it's become such a trendy thing. Like, these people pretend like they weren't huge CU fans last year. Like 50% of the entire United States wasn't huge CU fans last year. The shit's pissing me off, if I'm being honest with you. It's irritating to me. Now all of a sudden, bro, you want to talk about some fickle fans? You want to talk about some fickle fans? And it has nothing to do with their performance on the field. I'll be honest with you. It really doesn't. It has everything to do with how the media has covered them. That's what it is. They villainize CU so much that people cannot wait for them to lose.
Oh, I know. I mean, they called him the Grand Theft Auto of college football. I mean, when I read that, I was like, dude, what? Grand Theft Auto? Talking about guns in the locker room and stuff. They just pull anything out, and it doesn't matter because nobody's going to call them out for it.
Nobody. It's just so hypocritical. Just covering the Broncos and stuff like that, bro. I can't imagine if I just started tweeting out and writing articles on Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos have a bunch of guns in the locker room.
Right?
Bro, I would be crucified. I would be out here on a stick. They would hate me. They really would. Yet you get this one dude talking about that with literally no evidence at all. It's not like he had a picture of the gun in the locker room. It's not like he saw the stuff or he had any source. It was just that. He just wrote it down on a piece of paper, called it a day, and my boy's on TV the next day. Pisses me off.
The dude's a Carolina beat reporter with 182 followers, and it sticks. It's like God. They're throwing darts at the wall and they're hitting bullseyes and no one cares.
No, because no one cares when the lie is more entertaining. That's what it is. When that is super entertaining, when it's getting clicks and stuff like that, that's what people care about. Now, here's the thing. I don't think I've ever seen anything like CU. or to the extent where we're getting graphics of like some walk-on from 3 years ago that's never played a game. He transfers out, and we're getting I don't even know where they pulled the picture from to make the graphic out.
Right?
It's crazy.
It's getting more likes than an Alabama commit. You're like,
wait, did they
what?
just cut the 4-string long snapper and he has a graphic of him throwing the football? Where did you get that? Like I'm sitting there thinking like it's AI generated or something.
Mhm.
It's insane. The depths that they'll go for this content, man. And I just have never seen anything like it. I really, really haven't. I don't know where just like journalism is gone for people. It feels like journalism is supposed to be such an important thing, but with every school but CU, like let's rule out that one. That's everybody's money maker right there. We get to abuse that one.
Yep.
As long as we're making our money off of that one, everyone else we got to be very journalistic, very professional. Blah blah blah. CU though, man, no, that's not the case. We're writing crazy articles from the Denver Post.
Yep.
From
I know.
all the posts, bro. It's crazy.
I know.
It drives me insane. But what I was going to say is that I think before I went on that big tangent, if Juju commits to CU, I think that you would see a lot more people all of a sudden act like they weren't a hater a second ago.
That and winning will do tons for this team. Getting a commitment from a 5-star quarterback and winning this year, being in that Big 12 championship, it honestly might put an end to this. I mean, I don't want to say that for sure because I don't see how this ends, but I don't know.
No, I feel you. I think the same thing. Like, as long as you win, winning heals all. If the Buffs start winning, it's going to kill it. The media coverage isn't going to stop. That's going to be something with CU forever. That's Deion's biggest selling point is how much he's able to stay in the media's head. He's staying in there rent-free for the good and bad.
Yep.
But maybe a little of the hate goes away, hopefully.
Yeah, and he's always able to twist the bad into good in his locker room. Like, he's always able to turn that bad media and channel it into fire for his players.
Totally. I mean, and I don't think you've seen the players stop committing. That's something I want to say. For all the talk, all the media is talking about, no, the players aren't stopping committing. You just stopped hyping them up as much. Those same players that would have been a big deal a year ago, all of a sudden it's not as big of a deal, and we don't know that guy. That's pretty much the deal right now. But
exactly.
Anyways, guys, this was a fun episode 1. Super fun episode 1. Carter and I are going to come back weekly. We'll keep you guys updated on more of a schedule on when we're going to start doing this stuff. But Carter, let the people know where they can find your work.
Carter Dillon 14 on Twitter. Do Broncos and Buffs stuff with Let's Talk Broncos, and I'm super pumped to get this going. It's going to be a super exciting season in Boulder. So yeah, I'm pumped to get this rolling. Facts.
It's going to be a blast. Follow me at JR Drafts. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the channel. This is a brand new channel. And until next time, go Buffs.